Welcome back everyone to another Demo Impressions, where I scrape through the bottom of the barrel for new and upcoming games and tell you if it tickles my pickle. I do this with the hopes that I can help you decide if this game is worth a smidgen of your time and an honorary spot on your Steam wishlist. So, without further ado, I'm your host, Mozzarella Sticks, and today, let's take a look into Gravewood High. Hello? So at its core, Gravewood High is a stealth horror game where the story here is that in this school, several students have disappeared, presumed to be trapped within the confines of this educational establishment. And what's weird is that none of the parents of these missing children seem to notice that they're gone. There is also some sort of elaborate mystery going on as the general setting or atmosphere shift to different time periods in history that you can get to experience yourself. You may find yourself in modern day society first, and then sometime after, as you progress further, you will notice that there are things that are out of place. And I mean lost in time out of place. The main baddie here is the teacher, who apparently has become the overlord, watching over everything and making sure nothing escapes. Which brings us to our role in this game, and let's assume that you are one of the missing students, and you have to escape using everything that you can to outsmart and outmaneuver the teacher. Like in very classic games in the stealth genre, you use the surroundings to hide and crawl in small gaps to evade detection. In a nutshell, this game is like Hello Neighbor, but in a school, and you're trying to break out and uncover the mystery instead of breaking in and finding out your neighbor's secret. Take note, however, I use the term horror loosely. Yes, there are horror elements, but the fear factor slowly goes away as you start to get used to the surroundings. That is because it doesn't look frightening in my eyes. You may get a little spook every now and then, and that's due to the teacher suddenly coming out around the corner, and you're trapped or things happen when you least expect it. But I digress. This is my first impression of the game. You may get a different one of your own playthrough. So, moving on. The entire school has been turned into a labyrinth which always changes. You still get the typical areas you find in your nearby school. A library, classrooms, cafeteria, all that stuff that we're familiar with already. But the layout will change, however, for every playthrough. Same goes for every time you get captured. You may find that at the starting area you use the vents to move around, and suddenly you get captured and wake up at a different starting location, and the area is no longer how you remember it. And when that happens, you have to find another means to get from point A to point B. So it's safe to say that every person who will play this game will have their own unique experience and challenges to encounter. I actually like that approach because it keeps the players on the alert at all times, for we are comforted by what is familiar to us, and to have all that suddenly change keeps the tension up constantly as you have to adjust to your new surroundings. What worked before no longer works now, so to speak, and we try to keep failure to a minimum in order to avoid having to change our plans because what was before the library now turned into the janitor's closet or something. What? Jesus. Much like every stealth game, where the goal is to complete objectives while making sure that we don't attract attention to ourselves, it goes exactly the same here. You will need to find keys, passwords, and items that you need to use to unlock the door which leads deeper into the game, and at the same time learn more about the mysteries surrounding Gravewood High and the numerous disappearances. All the while you're trying your best to avoid confrontation with the teacher. There are places that you can hide, and if you have played Outlast or Amnesia, it goes the same way here. You can jam yourself into a locker or hide underneath a desk if you're being hunted and pray that Mr. Teacher doesn't check. Running around in circles won't help, as he is much faster than we are, so we need to be extra vigilant and take mental notes on where the nearest hiding spot or air vent is to escape. There's also small crawling spaces in the wall that you can use as well. The devs have also included some nice mechanics to keep the game fresh, and one of those is destructible surroundings. You see, there are these artifacts that you must collect that you can use to throw these orb things, which will break walls and some doors. With that ability, our options have been multiplied, giving us more ways to get around the map. But that can also work against our favor, since by breaking down the walls, you also remove the very object that goes in between you and your captor's line of sight. There's also limited charges, so technically you can't break down every wall and door you see. It's very interesting that they added that feature because it makes escaping a bit more dynamic. Being cornered no longer equates to game over. You have a choice to break a wall and keep running to find a hiding spot, or let yourself be captured and the whole map changes, but then again, you won't waste your precious charges. The enemy AI also improves as you progress further into the game. You will see changes in its pattern and how it approaches certain scenarios. Their physical appearance will also start to change, and granting them special abilities that will be used against you. And they too have the option to break down walls to find you, just as you do to escape from them. That's a nice bit of development from your enemies. That just means gameplay won't become repetitive as you go deeper into it, as so you will be forced to adapt to a new approach, whether you like it or not. Hiding will no longer be your best approach, because what's the point if they can just waltz into the room like the Kool-Aid Man? I have not reached further into the game yet, but those were all the things that I can say regarding how the game works. But knowing those changes will occur down the line really ups the tension a bit, because you don't know when it will happen and you just might find that out a little bit too late. Oh, okay, alright. As someone who predominantly plays open world games, I rarely touch survival horror, because I like to play at my own pace, and I like to explore. But what I can say about my experience here is that I do like the general gameplay that we have. For those of you who've never played survival horror before and want to test the waters a bit, this would be a great starting point. The horror element is a bit toned down. You won't be overwhelmed by scary visuals and jump scares unlike other games. Understanding the mechanics is quite easy. There are some puzzles that you need to solve in order to get this specific item to open doors, but that's fine, it isn't hard. You will only think it is because you will be thinking that the teacher will pop out at any moment. But that's the idea, isn't it? The thrill that you can get caught at any time is exhilarating, keeps you thinking on your toes as you go along, and if you like that, then you can take this game out for a swing. But don't take my word for it, you can try the demo out for yourself. As usual, I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.